what is now the Springfield campus of Missouri State University in 2020. But allow me to take you back to the university in the late 1960s and 1970, the era of the Vietnam War, a half-century ago. Back then, it had a different name, Southwest Missouri State College. But several of the buildings that were there back then remain right where they were to this day. And to me, the facades look just the same as they do today, which means they really did manage to preserve all those old buildings. In this video, I will list and describe the buildings that were already here, from the oldest to the most recent, just to prove that this side of campus continues to look just the same on the outside to this day, albeit it had a variety of changes on the inside. That is what is now Carrington Hall, originally named Academic Hall. Not only has it been the university's main administrative building all this time, it was literally the first building of the university, built in 1908. It got the name Carrington Hall after William Thomas Carrington, the university's first president, who served from the time it opened in 1905 until 1918. This is the Office of Admissions. And this is the Office of Admissions, only much different, upgraded to the present, and presumably even expanded. That's Hill Hall, originally named the Education Building, now the College of Education and the Department of Psychology, built in 1924. It was named after Dr. Clyde Milton Hill, the university's second president, who served from 1918 until 1926. That is Zieslev Hall, originally the Science Building, built in 1927. The university's first Department of Science, but now the Department of English as well as Modern and Classical Languages, perhaps because it was named after Dr. Harry Zieslev, who taught English and education. To the north of Carrington Hall sits the College Union, now Plaster Student Union, built in 1951, named after Robert W. Plaster, a native philanthropist and businessman who would also provide funds to remodel the Plaster Sports Complex, the home of the university's football team, in the early 1990s. Back in the day, you could park a car there. You could even see a fountain just outside the facade. Also part of College Union was a game center, where you could play billiards. You still can, but today you can also play some other games: bowling, ping pong, and foosball. This building to the east of Zieslev Hall is what is now Cheek Hall, built in 1955. Back in the day, it was Memorial Library, the university's library back then, although not anymore. See here? This was it, Memorial Library, a place where students could study. To the south of Carrington Hall sits Pamil Hall, built in 1957. Now the Department of Hospitality and Restaurant Administration, but perhaps originally the Department of Mathematics. Now, in my opinion, this facade looks slightly different back in the day from how it does today. The pattern of the concrete squares and the glass walls back in the day, somewhat different from only rows of clear glass window walls today. Across from Cheek Hall to the east of Hill Hall is Roy Ellis Hall, the Department of Music, built in 1959. It was actually the first building on campus to be named after a person. It was named after Dr. Roy Ellis, the university's third president, who served from 1926 to 1961. By the time he retired, he had been the longest-serving college president of the United States. And finally, Craig Hall, now the Department of Communication, of Theater and Dance, and of Media, Journalism, and Film, built in 1967. It was named after Dr. Virginia Craig, who was the head of the university's Department of English and Speech for over 4 decades. The interior of Craig Hall, the first floor seen from the second, it still looks just like that today. Hill Hall is noticeable from here at the time, and it still is. In fact, that's a building you see through the windows from inside Craig Hall. What a lot about this university that managed to stay the same even for a half-century after the Vietnam War. But these are only some of the wide variety of buildings that were already present on campus in the era of the Vietnam War, and remain the same on the outside to this day. Besides, of course changes did occur within these boundaries through the years. The university even expanded with several more buildings after this era. But you see, there is so much history within what is now Missouri State University in Springfield, and it deserves to keep its history for generations to come.